All right, shall we start now, sir? Yes, thank you.
Sure, please.
Okay, so good morning, Dr. Yuan, everyone. So we are group number 4, and we are in charge of chapter 9 and chapter 12 of the book, which is about developing and implementing marketing plans using financial information and budget. So um, we have 4 members here, as you know, and then let's move on to the main content of our presentation today. So we are going to cover chapter, the first part is chapter 9 of the book, and then uh, part 2 is chapter 12, and then we have a section called article review, which will review the articles related to our topics today. So the first part is developing and implementing the marketing. So before we go into details about marketing plan, so we have a look at some benefits of having a plan. So why we need a plan? So we have several benefits here. The first one is coordination of the activities. The second one is identification of expected developments. The third one is preparedness to meet changes when they occur, and better communication throughout the organization. And the last one is minimization of conflict among individuals. And about developing and implementing markets. So we are going to go through 7 smaller parts, as you can see in the screen. So let's go to the first one, segmentation. So in, in practice, markets are invariably made up of several segments, all with very different requirements and which must be catered for in very different ways. So we have some criteria for segments. The first one is adequate size. So adequate size would mean a segment should be of an adequate size to provide a school with satisfactory return for its effort. The second one is reachable. The third one is distinct from each other. So we know that although members in the same segment would share a high degree of similarity, but each segment should be uh, different from each other. And the last one is we have relevance. That means that criteria for describing segments must be relevant to purchasing situation. And so we have some example of segment in ELT. So as we can see some slides here, so we can clearly see that the characteristics of each segment are very different from each other, so that we have different ways to cater our customer in each section. So let's move on to the next slide where we discuss an example from our teaching context. We have an example of our online course. So we all know that due to COVID-19, it becomes more difficult to enroll for English class like face-to-face. So we have an example, like talk about the segment. We choose students who are around 18 to 25, mostly students. So the program here, we have TOEIC, 2 skills, just reading and listening. And we divide it to foundation and preparation levels. So class size is about 10 to 15 students, and we have about 2 hours per section and 2 sessions per week. And the whole course would be 12 weeks. So we will use Google Meet due to its popularity. So to save time and money for developing new learning material, we use ETS book material for our main course book, and the fee for this is 2.5 to 3 million VND for each, depends on the level. And the reason why we choose this target market, because TOEIC is now accepted in most universities and colleges in Vietnam. So it's well recognized by most people, especially students. And we have some competitors in this field, for example, like we list out like Miss Hoa TOEIC or VUS, for example. So we will discuss further in the Q&A section. So we will move on to the next section, which is about marketing leader. So in marketing, it's better to lead than to follow. And we have here 6 elements for market leader. So the first one is premises, which means the environment in which learning takes place. And it's really important. It should be attractive and well equipped so that learners feel comfortable and they want to stay. The second one is prestige. The market leaders in ELT business are usually those with the most solid academic reputation. That's why they are confer respect from customers. And the third one is price. The leader set prices first, and then the followers will wait to follow to set the same price or maybe lower. The fourth one is product development. Leaders have the ability to develop differentiated service, which is really difficult to copy, and so that's why they are the leaders. And this brings them benefits. The fifth one is personnel. They also have the ability to attract and they keep the most qualified and experienced personnel in all areas of work. So, and that's about marketing leaders. Let's move on to strategic marketing planning. So it is guided by three questions. The first one is, where are we now? The second one is, where do we want to be? This means the objective, which can be seen as the destination. And the third one is, how we going to get there? This is mean that the route chosen for reaching that destination. So in order to do this, we have crucial process in developing strategies. We have two models, SWOT and PAST analysis. Based on the internal and external audits conducted as market research, the analysis will appraise the school's strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. So a good SWOT analysis will help to pinpoint the really important issues to be addressed and make concise statements which should in themselves lead to further actions. And the PAST analysis, we take into consideration some other external factors such as political, economic, social, and technical, so that we have a better adaptation to the environment to meet the society social needs, right? And avoid potential issues. So we also need to consider the four interrelated elements in considering a school performance. So the interconnected elements might be investigated. And if all four of these items result in a very high figure, it is likely that the school is doing very well. It is crucial not to focus on just one item and ignore others. And in larger a school or institution, a comparison can be made between branches. Right. So let's move on to marketing plan. So we have virus of choice. From exit to expand depends on the situation, and this is not a simple task. Other competitors continually challenge the market leader's strength and try to take advantages of its weaknesses. So the leader of organization might become weaker or old-fashioned against new or existing rivals. That's why we can use one or a combination of several strategies here to retain the leadership. So for example, the first one is it. So for example, in the case that we cut off the unprofitable products that affect the whole organization, or expand if we are doing well and we want to gain more profits in the future, so we can use the expand strategy. Right. And here we also look at another example in the next slide. So here we recommend another strategy. So we choose 4P, which means price, product, promotion, and place. So firstly, to increase the brand awareness, we choose mass media, for example, some social network page, for example, Facebook, TikTok, which is used by lots of young people these days. And we all know that we also care about the product and our customers, so that of course we need high quality teachers who are well qualified. Also, we have free trial classes and free monthly mock tests. In addition, we provide free mentors for slow learners and scholarship for the best students, for the best performers. And the price is competitive compared to other direct competitors. So this is our recommendation, an example. Right. So let's move to part 5 about asset-led marketing. So we have two approach here. The first one is market-led approach, focuses on the importance of identifying customer needs and producing appropriate goods and services to or catering an appropriate market. Asset-led, on the other hand, is different. Asset-led market is a marketing approach with our company focuses on internal strengths to meet customer needs. Internal strength come from the resources and capacities our company has. So both market-led and asset-led approaches can be pursued concurrently. Right. So the assets of a school usually includes five elements. So we have skills, systems, products, capital, and people. Right. At this stage, we also need to consider both risks and opportunities. So we have here the four risks. The first one is the risk that one must accept, because this is the nature of the business. So every organization in the business have to deal with this kind of risk. And the second one is the risk that can afford to take or cannot afford to take. And the last one is the risk cannot afford not to take, which means is unavoidable for your organization, for your institution. Right. Another thing here in this section is that we have to look we have to anticipate the opportunities. We have here the additive, which means the thing that already exists, complementary, which means the combination of new and old, and breakthrough, which means something that is changed completely, something really new to your institution or school, right? So the last part of in this section is the effective marketing plans will offer lots of benefits to your organization. So we have here, we widely understand the objectives, greater controls, and lack vulnerability to the unexpected and predictable. Recognition of the need for continuous change and understanding of priorities. And the last one is minimum waste and duplication of resource. So through what we have been presented, we come up with the development of marketing plan, including 7 stages. So we have here 7 stages you can see on the screen. So as Guo will go through cooperating, plan and objectives, to the last one is monitor and control review. So in marketing plan, you need to pay attention to the timing, the cost, and also the responsibility. Right. And especially in ALT, so there are several activities which you consider to be indirect in marketing. For example, we do not do it directly, but we do some other activity. For example, like we attend academic conference, and attending academic conference can lead to contacts, which may put business in the way of the school. And some other activities which are publication of the books, seminars, scholarships, marginally costed courses, or social cultural programs. So it will help your organization or institution become more well known to other to the market, right? So let's move on to the last part about measuring the marketing effectiveness. So in order to measure this, we'll first look at the cost. So we have 7 main costs here, right? So in marketing, there is no answer to the question what is a right amount. We don't set a precise amount of money for this. Instead, we try to answer 3 main questions here. So what do we want to achieve? How do we do it most cost effectively, and how we are going to monitor the effectiveness of each item? This is the question we need to answer to measure the effectiveness of our marketing plan, not other question like the right amount of money we put into marketing plan, right? And the last part is it is difficult to measure marketing effectiveness. It is involved in all aspects of the business, and it's hard to separate them. However, attempt has been made so that money will not be spent blindly. As you can see from the table, marketing cost can be broken into identifiable segments and methods established for measuring effectiveness. As you can see on the left column, we have the item, and then in the right column, we have the method to measure it effectively. Right, so this is the end of chapter 5. So we move on with method 3, with the next part.
Yes, thank you very much. Now we have to go through how we planned the marketing strategies. Um, and now we move to a very important part. It's showed at a basis to operate the marketing plan. So we need money. So how to use the final financial information and the budget. So we are going through these sections as you can see on the slide. Um, so a budget, is defined as the financial expressions of a business plan. So put it simply, uh, this is the total of money that we have, and we pay, for those sort of stuff to operate um, the institution successfully. So firstly, let's have a look at some of the functions that a budget may serve. So they can use to coordinate, allocate the resources, something related to the, how can I say, the infrastructure. And then something related to the people, the persons we have to pay, yes, them. And the money may be used as a tool, to control, to motivate, the workers or the employees so that, they can reach the maximum of productivity. Yes, the power of the money. Yes. Uh, in order to prepare for the budget, so we have some of the specific things to do. Firstly, you need to assess the market, and secondly, so for the teaching and the learning, so teaching resources and materials need to be considered as well. And next, so the student residential feeding and entertainment. So actually, this is for the very, how can I say, this is a last scope of the business rather than for a, some of the small and medium sized entrepreneurs. Uh, and the last one, we need to be concerned about the teaching premises, about the cleaning, about the maintenance, something related to, how can I say this, somehow related to the logistics, no, it's not logistics, it's about the cleaners, I mean. Uh, so all of, when we collect, all of those data, so we come to the state of computing and presenting, as you can see on the slide here. So this example is extracted from the cost book, the main cost book. So when we look at this, we can see the price and the student wish, and we believe that this is applicable to the last size of a, it might be a school, it might be a school. It's not a foreign language center like in Vietnam. However, these things need to be considered. Um, so let's have a look at the keywords here. Let's see the forecast. Now let's say this is a plan. It's not a reality. So we need to predict the sales here. It should include some of the variables, as you can see here. See a student weeks, the price, and the constraint, the capacity. The capacity here means what do we have? What do we have? And we need to predict the cost. Yes. So these are, um, how can I say? These are the parts. In the computation here. And after that, we need to make some reports to the manager. So when we make a report, we need to consider these questions. These questions, as you can see here. Yes. So this is just a suggested questions, so we can adapt based on your real situations. Yes. In terms of the capacity, so we need to make a list all of this here. So the capacity is not static; it's dynamic. It might be changed. Uh, it might be changed. For example, we go to lunch for the cost for lunch, something like that. So we need to remind the possibility, for improvement. Improve it means it's a change. Change. We need to change. We need to predict any changes. Now, let's say because it's just an estimation. So of course, it is true that it's really hard to calculate, with any precision. But within uh, the standard deviation, or we say this is the accepted, deviation. Um, and these are the two things related to time, related to something, related to the accounting system that we need to concern. So these advices, the pieces of advice, so we taken exactly from the cost book. So related to our real situation, so we need to consider. So when we report, so we need to interpret the accounts. So who responsibility is it? So of course it's uh, the managerial responsibility. So in here, so we need some questions to concern. But to be honest, when we read this, we have no, very little knowledge about the accounts, So we are here as we just stand the positions of reporting, and we are self-aware that we need to uh, how can I say, to study more about this, to understand their accounts, to how to read their account, to have the ability to read their accounts. So in here, so uh, this is the model. This is the model, concerning the budget. So for operating, marketing, the stuff is categorized, into three main sections here. And for operating, we make a list of specific things we need to, pay, in the budget. Of course, in our receipt situation, we don't have to spend all of our budgets into three things here. But the very big question here, whether or not we should balance on, or we will put more money on one and less money on the other. So we will come to the Q&A section to answer this question. Now, we come to how to raise the finance and a business plan. So these things we can concern, when we plan the finance and the business plan in here. Yes. So you can see on the screen, some of the economical, technical terms here, like cash flow, balance sheet, something like that. So, yeah. So we just list some of the sections rather than we try to explain what is it, for example, the flow forecast or the balance sheet. No. Yes. Now, um, this is the part for, we review some of the article. So we got the two main sections. The first one is related to the market and the customers. So in here, we meta-analyze rather than merely report the study. So this study aimed to understand the demand for English proficiency from the perspective of employers by collecting some job advertisements on one of the very popular job websites in Vietnam. This is Vietnam Works, as you can see here. In a 2 year, and as claimed by the authors, why these 2 years? A period of 3 years is adequate enough to capture the changes in demands for English proficiency. So the group of authors, they have two main inquiries. Uh, in order to seek for information on the demanding levels of English proficiency by employers across sectors, please have a look at the graph here. As you can see, as can be seen, from the graph on the left, because this is the data in 2015, and the yellow is for the statistics in 2018. What we can see in here, the common level of the student required by, sorry, of the employees required by the employers have changed, and the general tendency is that the common level of the central interest tend to be around intermediate. Yes. So what can we learn from this finding? You know, uh, to utilize in our situation, so we can know the tendency of the required level of the student in the market, the common needs of the student. And from this common needs, we can choose the suitable teachers. What do I mean by the suitable? We don't need to choose the best. The best here, in the professionalism, in terms of their expertise. We don't need so. Yeah. They also inquire about the changes in the demands of the four skills of English across sector. Now, also as can be seen, on the slide, you can see here in the four main sectors here. This is for the past year. Sorry, this is for 2015. This is for 2018. What we can see in here, the listening and the speaking, the listening and the speaking are still of the central interest of the employers. So, what can we learn? These are the two focus talk skills. Still, to focus talk skills. So, what can we learn from the background of the majors in here? So we can know the background of students. So this is our targeted students for our segmentation. We will, do some campaigns or in terms of, brand promotions to these schools, science, economic, for medical schools, something like that. And now let's move to the second interview. Sorry, the second article by uh, Pham and his co-authors about a financial plan. The study aimed to investigate the impacts of technology on entrepreneurial financing issues and trends in the markets. In this study, the authors choose the purposeful sampling. Of course, yeah, this is a quality approach by conducting 12 interviews with 12 participants. And uh, in the article, the author doesn't categorize into these groups just as on the screen. So we categorize, and we wonder why these participants are chosen. However, the authors, didn't make any claims about this. But in our own understandings, the authors aim to choose the first group, small and medium-sized uh, enterprises, based on the site. Uh, in the main teachers with a smaller size. the English Language Center, and a company who provides the online teaching and learning. So this is in reality. They are in brothers, but in here they are in theory. We believe that this is the reason why the author choose these two groups. And to answer for the questions of whether or not the technology effect on the internal financing issue, so they found that no effects through the participants' verbal accounts. The reason why, as we can see, most of the startups, especially in language teaching in Vietnam. So what is their money from? From their own savings or personal debts from their family or their friends. So they show no worries on bank loans. However, this will lower their possibility of survival, as you know, as proved during the COVID-19 pandemic. Most of the SME collapsed. Uh, but, and another reason is that most of the revenues they collect prior to the service provisions, and this have to cover the cost. So no need for business that's bank loans. So what can we learn from this article? What can we learn? What can we learn from this? Yes. So when we examine this article, we build up our confidence uh, on startups. If we have the ambition of opening our own business, in teaching, in education, you can start. Don't worry about allowance. Money, it is not the only matter, but in some cases, it's in a matter, especially to the Vietnamese businessmen, especially in the air education. If you don't have much money, so you can start as an independent teacher, like a tutor, uh, in your home. And that's all about what we would love to share with all of you. Thanks for your attention. Thank you. Now, we turn to the question, the Q&A section. Thank you. Uh,
Uh,
yes.
Thanks a lot for your informative presentation. So now just moving on the feedback, and we are receiving your helpful feedback. So now just moving on. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thanks for your presentation. Everyone, please go to the Google Doc. We have the comment form there and the sharing of comment as well as the questions. I would love you to add the um, comments. Many of you have already shared, so you can, yeah, but still there are a few groups like group 3, they haven't shared anything at all. I would love them to type something in. A little reminder for everyone. So you may have about 5 minutes to fill up your comments for the whole class. A little reminder, I just checked the folder, the Google folder. Only group 2 share the files and the articles. Group 1 did share the file, but not the articles. Group 3 haven't done anything yet. And group 4 will continue to share your slide today, as well as the article, the reading that you download, that you search for today's session. So please, all the group, soon after the presentation, please remember to upload your file, your presentation. But prior to the presentation, I would expect you to upload, to share your articles, your readings. So please do. Is it clear, everyone? You got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Chán, nhưng mà ngày mai thầy có một cái cuộc họp với Canada trực tuyến, cho nên thầy không có họp song song và dạy được các bạn cùng với lớp, cho nên mai chắc chúng ta không học được buổi sáng. Buổi chiều thì thầy lại có một cái việc khác ở trường nữa, cho nên chắc chúng ta sẽ học buổi cuối cùng vào ngày 25 tháng 1 sáng thứ ba, được không các bạn? Vẫn khung giờ 8 giờ cho tới 12 giờ.
Dạ được thầy.
Dạ được ạ.
Ok, vậy chúng ta đợi tuần sau chúng ta học buổi cuối nha các bạn nhé. Ok, các bạn ghi chú cái lịch lại giúp thầy với. Chúng ta học từ 8 giờ đến 12 giờ.
So do you have any other comments or do you have any other questions for our group?
Oh yes, thank you for your invitation. First of all, I would like to talk about the good points that your groups have given to us. That is, you got a clear voice and they're well prepared for the content, informative and attractive, well-designed presentation. In addition, the first speaker has good eye contact and good pronunciation at English. So it's good when we follow her. However, the first speaker seems to rush because of maybe time limitation, and you also got the lack of time management. Moreover, you should involve more than 2 articles or more than 2 articles to compile and have more have deeper understanding in the term. So that's all for our group. Comments for your group. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for your comment. And just as we know that due to the time limitation, so we couldn't involve more articles about to provide you more information to the session. So thanks a lot for your comment. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's see. How about the second group? This one about I want to invite Miss Dương Thị Mỹ Linh. So can you give us some feedback or some questions for our presentation?
Yes. So first of all, thank you for your group presentation. So regarding the speakers, so you guys have clear voice and good pronunciation with great fluency, and of course you are very well prepared. And the content of the presentation is also well organized, which makes us feel easy to follow and understand. You guys also provide us with good examples and clear explanations. However, I think due to the time's constraints, the presenters look straightforward at some points, and the first speakers, you have the monotone at some point. Regarding the content, so some parts are obvious, and I think that can be omitted, such as the risk and opportunities, in order to make the presentations more concise. And one more thing is that we only see 2 articles in the references. So we're wondering if your team has read enough the required materials or not. So that's all for our group comment.
Mr. Hải Thụy, so can you want to feedback? Do you want to have some reply to the feedback, Mr. Hải Thụy?
So I think you are very concerned about the empirical studies in here. Now, let us share with you. So maybe I should turn off the camera because we're low in connection. Sorry for the inconvenience. So we put in the slides. That is what we cite. However, we have read more than that. in terms of the bibliography, we have read, through 5 articles that we are able to share. Now, let's be back to the topic of the day. It's somehow really related to economics. It's about the financial. It's about the marketing. It's about the marketing. And if we need some of the empirical studies on the financial, so we need some data. And in the business context in Vietnam, it's really hard because it's credential. It's credential. Yes. So in 5 articles, we have got to choose which is best suits our situation. And luckily, we can choose 2. So I would like to reaffirm that we have not read just 2. We have read enough requirements, but we were just able to choose 2. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, right.
It's really
Usually,
hard, to
you
find empirical studies on financial
synthesize,
Yeah.
to synthesize the materials. Okay. All right. Now we continue. But
Yes,
sorry, Thành, Thủy, sorry. So please, not
Yes.
only for this group, but for the whole class, for all of the groups, please upload your articles, your readings in the Google folder. Do you still remember the link for the Google folder?
Yes, sir.
You check the email thread that I emailed you around the 2nd or the 3rd session, I think, before your presentation. Yeah, the 2nd session, before the 2nd session. We have the link. Or you want me to share the link again? I think you should check the email. Thank you. Now we continue with other comments. Lei?
Just moving on. Yeah, thanks a lot for your very helpful comment by Mr. Ming. So do you have any other comments on our presentation? Sorry, Mr. Ming. Oh, he's not here. So about Miss Me, so do you have any other comments on our presentation?
Yeah, okay. So I also share the same ideas with other groups, but I just want to give some more recommendations, but not really because I just want to thanks for your informative presentations. And I think that you have a very good explanation as well as clear examples and useful articles for us to follow. But one more recommendation is you should synthesize more than 2 articles, as Mr. Hill mentioned before. And that's all about our groups and the ideas. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
We hope that we have more time. Yeah, but due to the time limitation, and you know that the marketing is kind of new to us. Even that I used to work here for about nearly 4 years. Yes, I used to work as a marketer for nearly 4 years. But anyway, about the marketing for T-Zone is kind of new for us. So somehow it's not so easy for us to find some articles, especially related to Vietnamese context. And we hope that we have more time to provide more articles, so we will upload later. Thanks a lot. So about the last group, I want to hear from you from group number 5. So I want to invite Miss Phương Xuyên. So do you have any others recommendations or any others feedback?
And I see your group have clear and organized presentation, and your presentation really interactive and very easy to follow. So yeah, that's our our comment for your group.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. thanks a lot for your helpful feedback. So now, if you don't have any other recommendations or any other feedback, so our group will move to the Q&A section.
Okay, sure. You can continue.
Just we received many questions from you, and we divide them into marketing plan and about budget. Okay, so the very first one about marketing plan, and we had a question from Miss Chang. What are your marketing plans or strategies for English centers post COVID-19? And actually, to us, this is a big question, as we mentioned and analyzed before. We choose 4 P's marketing about place, price, product, and promotions as our key strategy both before and after COVID-19. However, because there are some big changes in specific campaigns, and we have to evaluate something like segmentation, market leaders, direct and indirect competitors, marketing channels, and marketing contents. For example, because our target is to assess potential customers who are young and have low to middle income. So we prefer digital marketing and visual content, and we offer our customer affordable courses. So that's all for our answer. So do our answer provide you enough information, Ms. Chang?
Yes, thank you so much for your sharing. Actually, I just want to hear some of your suggestions, because you know that during the COVID-19, everyone have to learn at home, so they don't have to go to the English centers to have some English lessons. So that how can some English centers compete with the others, while all of them have some cooperate with some native speakers or some online lessons? I just want to know some suggestions. So thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. You want to say something? Okay, Thủy.
You know, the COVID-19 is an unexpected situation. It's like in the theory of the black swan. So, you know, now let's see. The marketing, it is for branding. It's also for developing. Post COVID-19, I think it's not the right time to develop. So it's just for suspense. How can we say? It's very hard for me to explain English. You know, it's like doing. We need to do before we develop. We go ahead. So why? Do you think this is a good idea to invest more on marketing after the COVID-19? I do not think it is the right way to go. The right way to go. Yes, Ms. Chang, do you agree with me? When you put the situation as post COVID-19. Yeah.
Yes, but I think if we don't have some marketing plans post COVID-19, you will absolutely lose some of your students, some customers. So I think we still need some marketing plans.
We should adapt.
Yes.
We should adapt the plan rather than invent a new plan. You know. Yeah. We think so. Yeah.
But it's still
maybe
marketing, right?
Maybe we cut out a budget for the marketing plan. We still continue. Yeah. Sao thầy? Yeah.
Em cứ nói đi.
Yes. Okay.
I understand that COVID is a kind of unexpected situation, and that would be a kind of difficult situation for all of us to adapt. So in the new context, it depends on the strategy, it depends on the adaptability of a certain organization, of a certain language center. Then you can see that people have to think out of what they may not have experienced before. think out of the box. All right. So probably originated from the unexpected situation. They may change the challenges, they may change the difficulty into the opportunities so that they can maximize their resources. They can do a better kind of communication of their own product. So, like some of you, Min, Trang already shared an example that some of the language center come up with a kind of cooperation with the international speaker or a student so that they can come up with a good speaking community for their student. That is a very, very creative way that helps survive that kind of language center. So I think that it's difficult for us to come up with a kind of formula for the a certain language center. But of course, creativity is the important principle for all of the language center. They have to be creative within some kind of framework, within a certain situation, and the high level of adaptability of the student, of the teacher, and especially of the language center administrator is very important. So you know that that is important. Going back to the 4P model that you come up with or that you present. So we have to understand what kind of product are we introducing to the student or to the market, and what would be the price. You introduce the new product with the lower price, and that's a good way for you to promote, and the place here is an online one. So I think that we can apply different kind of model into the new context. This is just an example. Okay.
Yes,
Right.
I agree. I agree about the ideas of Mr. Dũng that we have to adapt and somehow we have to transfer our challenges into our opportunities due to COVID-19. Yes.
Okay. So I'm sorry to interrupt you. While you are thinking of the other question, I may ask you to have a short break of about 10 minutes. Somebody visiting me. I get back to you soon. So sorry for
Yes.
that.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir. Ian, she will answer.